that rightfully so did not belong to us. But because they, older, being parents, grandparents, other family members, they didn't talk about it. So because they didn't talk about it, we don't talk about it, and we just do things the same way. Thank you, sir. We have been guilty of repetitive behavior. So when you do start coming together, you find, wait a minute, we're having the same crazy arguments. We're dealing with the same types of things. And so what you recognize is, not only are you trying to figure out who you are and where you're going and what you're trying to do with your life and what you're trying to correct and what you're trying to build, when you really start digging into you, you recognize, wait a minute, I've got a lot of luggage that I didn't even pick up on my own. It was thrown at me and nobody told me that they were giving it to me. Okay? Does that sound reasonable? So I want to close out where we were with the anger. Landeris, you can start us there. What was the assignment for anger? What did I give you guys last week? That's the closing assignment. Now remember, we did talk about 10 types of angers to identify where we fell in those categories and how many of those were applicable to us individually. And I asked you guys, I said, go over them, find out which ones you could point to that you said, hey, this is me. One of the reasons why I wanted us to have a name with it, because it helps you to be able to identify, hey, this is me. This is what's going on with me. This is what's happening with me, okay? So, now let me say this to you as well. You all are welcome to invite anybody to the Bible class you want to. They don't have to be a member of Word, because I think it's important. He will sit right there, Savon. Hey, baby, you all right? You all right? How you doing? Hey, Sean. Hello. Hey, Julian. How are you today, baby? Because I do believe the better, and I'm going to keep saying this, the better we become as individuals, the better that we're going to be for everybody. Imagine what hurdles your family could get over if people could just be open and honest. How much air would it clear? How much easier it would make it? Has anybody ever gone to a family gathering and it was tense? Felt uncomfortable, like, how long is this going to go on? And nobody says a word. They'll talk about the turkey, the chicken, the football game, but nobody says anything about what's really going on. You sitting at the dinner table with some folk that you know don't like you because they don't like you, now they don't like your kids. I mean, just extra, which we can work on those things becoming better. And how frustrating is it when you're trying to grow and become better and you ask the person, what did I do to you? They say nothing, but they still treat you the same. Now we know that somebody is clearly not telling the truth, right? Come on, let's start with that. Hey, Sister Rhonda, how are you? Sister Rhonda, I'm going to give you a special seat today. I want you to sit right there on the end, right there. You're going to be right next to Toya and Brother Julie. Sit right there. All right? Come on, Landarius, let's get started, sir.
So I can't find the actual assignment. I wrote it down.
Okay.
And it was, I believe it was to go through all 10 of the angers.
Okay. And those of you that did not get that, I want them to send it to you as well so that you'll have it. Toya, do you have the 10?
What is it?
The 10 angers. Remember last week? Yes, ma'am.
No, which one? You already said the assignment.
Right. I'm saying before anybody that didn't get it. If you have an email and you did not get the assignment, just raise your hand and I'll have somebody send it to you. Sister Ronnie, do you have an email?
Was that?
Last week, baby.
No.
Is it the same one from
Okay. The same one from last week, the 10 angers.
I'm saying, is it the same
I
one
have-
from the week before last?
Yes, sir, because we didn't finish them. So I believe the first week, Derek, I believe we did like 1, 2, and 3 or something like that. Almost got up to halfway, and then the following week we finished it. Carlton, you should have the 10, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you have the 10. All right, who does not have the 10? Okay, all right. Toy, you don't have the 10?
I do, I just got it.
Okay.
The one that was sent out was 1 through 4, right?
No, it should have been a total of 10.
Today.
That's not today.
Oh.
Right, it should be a total of 10. Right, not today's. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm coming to that. I want to finish this first. Sean, did you get the 1 through 10?
Yes.
Okay. So somebody that did not get it, would you raise their hand, Sean? Just pick one of those people and send it to them. Okay? So that they'll have it. So as we talk about it, because the first page was 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Jared, what's your email? Spell it. U-R? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
I just sent him the 10 angels.
Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, can you send it to Sister Angel? What's your email, Sister Angel?
T7@gmail.com.
Toya, did you get the 10? Okay. Here in the area. Okay, when you get it, would you send it to Sister Rhonda, please? Rhonda, did you get it from last week?
Yeah, she got it.
Okay.
But it said
All right.
it's
Derek, do you have it? Okay, very good. Okay. You were to identify all of the angers.
Angel T.
And you know what? This will work out for me really well.
TEA.
Oh, T.
If, Josh, would you give me a sheet of paper? On one side, at the top, write name. On the other side, write email. And pass it around to everybody. So I'll have everybody's name and everybody's email. Okay? No. On one sheet. Yeah. On one sheet.
Angel T.
Okay. Right. Line straight down the middle. Name to the left, email to the right. Okay? Now, a sheet is coming around to make sure that I have everybody's name and everybody's email. And that'll expedite some of this. Because I'll make sure that it goes out so that you'll have it. Because my goal is when you come to Bible class, you'll already be prepared. And then anybody that does not have an email, does not have any social media, then I'll make sure that we get some copies made. Then that way you can have a hard copy. Okay? So I just need to know. Right. So everybody that has an email, write your name and email. If you do not have an email, just write your name, and on the side where it says email, just write no email, and then that'll let me know that I need to make hard copies. Okay. All right, Landeris, whenever you're ready to start for us, sir. Because there were a total of 10, and we were supposed to identify the ones that applied to us. Okay, you ready? Okay.
All right, so I have
Behavioral anger. Now, does anybody remember what behavioral anger was? Tell us what it is again, Landary.
It's expressed physically and it's usually aggressive. If you experience this type of anger, you may feel so overwhelmed by your emotions that you lash out at the object of your rage. This might involve physical, attacking someone, or breaking or throwing things.
Okay. Now, how many of you can identify with that one? That's called behavioral anger. You either physically attack somebody, or you tearing up stuff. You breaking up stuff. You smashing a wall. You feel like running your car into something. There you go. That's what we call behavioral anger. Now, can I tell you this while he's going through the others? Many times you have seen behavioral anger in somebody else that you've been around. That is a learned behavior. Anybody hear me? That is a learned behavior. Anybody get it? That is a learned behavior. Do you hear me? That is a learned behavior. Come right on in, baby. Get your seat. That is a learned behavior. They learn how to be physical. Remember this. Hey, y'all. In the African American culture, somebody get their email and send it to them. And that paper that's going around, remember you write your email and your name. No, you ain't got to sit over there, but you can sit at a table. We'll make room for you. Somebody make room. Be polite. Y'all speak to people. Hello, hello. Right, that's right. That's right. Be polite.
Did everybody get everything? Anybody missing?
Anybody that's missing the 10, hold your hand up so that they can send the email. All right. Behavioral anger is learned behavior. You got to remember that. That is learned behavior. You saw somewhere someone else behave in that way, and you recognized that that was your way of getting attention. Early stages for a child is temper tantrums. They stomp their feet, they get angry, they kick, they roll in the middle of the floor. The temper tantrum as a child goes into being an adult. Now you smashing stuff and hitting people. I lost control. Some of you were here when I asked the question. A movie character or a cartoon character that describes you when you get angry. Some people said the Hulk. Some people said the Tasmanian Devil. What was one of the others? John Wick. Said that describes how they feel when they get angry. Anybody else? What's your character when you get angry? Some people say, I see red. I blink out. Okay? We got to get a grip on that. You know, people do serious time for blinking out. Okay? All right, come on, give me another one.
Overwhelmed anger.
Overwhelmed anger. Describe it.
Is an uncontrolled type of anger. It usually occurs when we feel that a situation or circumstances are beyond our control, resulting in feelings of hopelessness and frustration.
When you feel like you have no control over your situation. In other words, there is so much on you, you're like, I can't take anymore. Normally, when you get to that place, you may feel like you're going to what is commonly known as a mental breakdown. I am so stressed till I can't take anymore. One more thing is going to set me right over the edge. Ladies and gentlemen, please let me remind you, you can be what is defined as perfectly normal. One major event can be so traumatic, it can send you over. For example, it is very common that when people have a physical loss, like someone in their family dies, and not just someone, but someone of whom they were extremely close to. Sometimes that loss is too much for the mind to handle. Okay? It could be losing their job, not knowing how they're going to survive. Can be too much. It would cause trauma to the mind. And some people do what we call flip out. In other words, the brain is going into an overload. Let me tell everybody in this room, Anybody can go into a mental overload. Care who you are. Okay, who you are, it can happen. The problem with it is no one knows when or what can happen to cause it to occur. Keep reading. Go ahead. So that's 2. All right, give me another.
Retaliatory anger.
Now, this is for all of my get back folk. Oh, I'm getting them back. Oh, I'm getting even. Oh, they ain't gonna get away with that. You're not going nowhere to pray. You're looking to retaliate. How many retaliators I got in here? Retaliate. Just 1? Just 2?
I missed
No. Retaliate. Your behavior. Retaliate. We gotta unravel that whole concept, because watch this. If you have a combination of retaliating and a behavioral anger, you can be dangerous to yourself. You can snap and injure your children. You can injure someone that you are in a relationship with. You can injure a coworker. Because if you blink out on the job, what you're saying mentally is, I don't know what I might do. Can we all be honest enough to say in the course of a day, there are enough people that you run into that can push you over the edge? You go to work, you started having a bad day. You get to work and the supervisor on stupid. The co-worker is not doing their job. Folk cutting you off when they driving. You know, the little irritating stuff, like they're in the right lane, but they turn left. Now, we don't normally say, Lord, I thank you that I didn't hit anyone, I didn't injure anyone. Lord, I thank. That's after you didn't say it not every, but everything else you wanted to say. That's so stupid. Wow, I can't believe that. They just got what? And then to add insult to injury, there are the people that's 2 cars back that can't see you, they blowing at you. Now you really got an attitude. Number 1, because you didn't cause the sudden stop. But they can't see it. Now they're looking at you. And all it takes is somebody to ride by, roll down their window and say to you, that was stupid. Like, but be glad I love Jesus. Oh, that's after you said, come on over here and say that to my face. Like, come over here and say that. I need you. I really, really would like for you to come over here and say that. Or somebody that had a comment that didn't have anything to do with what happened. Somebody going the other way said, that was stupid. You're not even going. Come over here and say that. Yeah. Come on this way. Because it's going to be legal what I do to you because you're going to swing first. Come on, another.
Verbal anger.
Verbal anger. Verbal anger is anger that we have learned. Many times, and I've heard it over the years as a teacher. Y'all take him over there because he's recording. I would hear parents verbally use vulgarity when they would talk to their children. Sit your down. You little black blah, blah, blah. There is a great probability that the child, when the child interacts with other people, the child will respond the same way. But there's a great probability that if you do it, somebody did it to you. Somebody did it to you. Be it your aunt, or your grandmother, or your cousin, somebody did it to you. Y'all want to travel back in memory lane? Who doesn't? Verbally. Verbally. When you go, you going. 1, 2, 3. Where did you learn it from? Alana, where did you learn it from?
My mama.
Your mom. LaDarius. Your mom. Derek.
Just here.
Yeah, but I want you to go back because there was somewhere that even though they may not have told you it was okay, through you hearing it, it became okay. Because how we deal with anger is a taught behavior. Where'd you learn it from, Josh? Say it. Because you hear it. Was it a hand back there at the back table? Who was it? Anybody? Nobody testifying tonight? Everybody say it, delivered and said. Okay. We learn that from people that are close to us. And when we lash back, sometimes the verbal lashing back has become your defense. Sometimes when people were younger and unable to defend themselves, your mouth became your weapon. How quick you could cut. Oh my God. Back in the day, we would call it playing the dozens. But you couldn't just throw out like random stuff. I mean, like it had to stay. Other than that, you wasn't really playing the dozen. You know, kind of like if you're going to talk about somebody, then it's really got hurt. You know, so like when you knew people were playing the dozens, you know, you better make sure you come to school with your hair right and your clothes looking right and you didn't want no biscuits on because you know they was going to be calling your shoes biscuits and you didn't want no bowl haircut or, you know, you didn't want your clothes outdated and all of that kind of stuff because you knew that you would be the person picked on. But you do recognize that sometimes the people that are doing the picking, they're doing it because sometimes they like to keep the attention off of them. Was that the 3 that you were doing? Or did you have one more?
I had one more.
Okay, come on.
Volatile anger.
Okay, which is?
Volatile anger seems to come out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
If this is your type of anger, you are very quick to get upset about perceived annoyances, both big and small.
Mm-hmm. Can anybody tell me, well, first of all, who falls in that category? Okay, let's tackle that for a second. It says that it pops out of nowhere. Generally, people in that particular category are individuals who have dealt with many other things. It is not like fresh and new. Bingo, it is a build-up. And you'll be amazed because what is big to one is small to another. Therefore, you can't actually gauge what will set you off. It might be anything. Somebody asking you a question. You just irritated because they ask you a question. It could be something major. You can be irritated because you ask a question. For example, you're in a store and you ask them, excuse me, can you tell me where the restroom is? I don't know. The feeling that you were ignored. Anybody become angry if you feel like you've been ignored? I guarantee you that feeling came from somewhere else. Be it you were ignored early in life, Be it the people that should have been paying attention ignored you. Be it in work settings and or relationships, you were ignored. So the point I'm making is the anger does not pop out of nowhere. And that's why tonight we're going to deal with what is rooted. And for the next number of weeks, we're going to be talking about the root of things. So I need everybody to come into the rooted area with an open mind. Every emotion that you have, good or bad, was rooted somewhere. Now, here's the dangerous thing about roots. We generally like what's on top that we can see. We pay little to no attention how deep or how far the roots run. The only reason why we know outside that the roots of that tree are coming this way, what's the evidence? Anybody know? The sidewalk is lifted. Hey y'all, come on in, grab a seat. The sidewalk is lifted. That's the only reason why we know the roots are coming this way. But for all we know, roots can be going underground, going across the street. Roots can be growing right under this building, going all the way to the alleyway from that tree right there. Easily. There used to be a tree right next door. We got rid of that tree because what we knew was if both of these trees were right here, eventually we were going to have a problem with that tree too. Now watch this. Roots have no control. So when the plumber comes and says, the reason why you're having this blockage is because roots are growing. They've got to kill the root because the tree is going to keep growing. So this is what I asked myself about two trees that were outside. When they created and put those trees there, were the buildings here first? The reason why I asked that question, because when you plant a tree can easily live 100 years. Trees don't stop growing because buildings are built around it. That's why after so long, they cut the limbs of the tree off. Because they know it'll grow back, but it'll take a long time. Okay. Tori, would you go outside and get that part of that wood, because I forgot it. Because what I learned something today about a tree that I did not know, and I want to share with you guys. I had some like bushes and trees growing in the backyard, and Nicole came over today, and her and Toya they were cutting down trees in the backyard. Well, I wanted to use the wood to put in the fire pit. I thought this would be great, do some s'mores, that would be wonderful. Only to recognize that I could not use the wood from that tree. Because what I recognized was that the tree, number one, the branch was not dead. Okay? Now, I got a spiritual revelation here. And I'm going to let y'all see this. First of all, this part, and I'm going to pass it around so you all can feel it. This part of the tree is still soft and very smooth. Which means that this part, in order to burn it, it needed to be, what'd you say?
Dry.
It needed to be dry. And when it's dry, what does that mean?
It's able to catch on fire. The whole,
It's dead.
yeah, it's dead.
It must die in order for it to catch on fire. Man, I sure wish somebody had caught that spiritually. Y'all, that went, it went right over y'all. It just like dude, like jump right over. The tree has to be dead in order for it to burn. As long as there is any moisture, it will not burn. And I'm going to pass it around so that you all can feel it. Now, when she brought me this part of the tree, I said, without ever touching it, I said, man, that tree was very healthy because I could tell by the green. It would have been like a dark, ugly, brownish color. Say what you said again, Londarius. In order for it to burn, it had to be what?
Dry.
It had to be dry in order to burn. Now, I brought this part of the tree, but the tree is not dead because the roots are still in the ground. Now, unless we cut out all of the tree from the roots, eventually this tree will live again. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can I suggest to you as my first piece of evidence for tonight that unless you kill your issues from the root, I don't care how much of it you cut off, it's going to grow back. That's why some of us are struggling in friendships and relationships. Families are crazy because we're really not cutting it at the root. What we're saying is, I'm good, I'm straight, I'm okay, ain't nothing wrong with me, I'm all right, it's them. They're the ones that need help. Can I just share something with y'all? If a young lady has not had a father present, she is growing up already with distrust for men. Did y'all hear me? She's already growing up with a level of distrust because he, the father, part of his duty is to make her feel secure and comfortable. Part of his duty is to teach her what a man is supposed to be. So when she starts dating and the man does all of the wrong things to her, now she's got to be retrained because she doesn't, and I don't mean trained like an animal, but retaught that behavior that he exhibited to you was wrong. If she grows up in a family where there are no accountable men, she may very well give them a pass for them having a level of accountability, or stressing that there is a greater need for accountability because she didn't have it. So if she says to me, oh, no, that didn't bother me. Yes, it did, because you had an absent spot that was not filled and it was not dealt with. Anybody, even young men that grow up without fathers, there is a void there that was not supposed to be. Anybody hear me? And there is a breakage that occurred with you that was beyond your control because it happened before you even came into the knowledge of who you are. So now when a man becomes a father, he will say one of the following: I'm not going to be like my father, or I'm going to be just like my father. So what do you do? What do you learn when you have not had an example? How do you know what to do? Do you learn from TV? Do you learn from the neighbors down the street? Do you listen or read social media? Do you read books? I mean, how do you learn what is acceptable and what isn't? Because we got to dig down in the root. So let's start with the root tonight. Y'all ready? Who has the questions? You got the questions? Okay. All right. Who does not have the questions? If you don't have the questions, raise your hand so that they can email it to you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Everybody got one. Okay. Very good. Okay. Very good. Thank you. All right.
So that will be sent out at the end of the service?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It should be pages 1 through 5. Anthony, you didn't, Josh think this, because Anthony didn't sign this, or Giselle. It should be pages 1 through 5, and then there were 4 questions. And I want to start with the 4 questions tonight. Okay? You ready with question number 1? Okay, what's the first question?
Have you ever thought about the reasons of your actions/behaviors?
Have you ever thought about why do I do what I do the way I do? Here's one. Who taught you how to deal with money? Where did you learn that? It should be a separate page. The 1 through 5, Derek, is one set. And then the 4 questions is a different set. Toya, do you have it?
I'm gonna send it again.
Okay.
Nicole and probably him only got a picture.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because the picture is at the top of a tree with roots at the bottom, and then there are 4 questions. Okay.
Gerald, did you get the whole thing?
You got it, Gerald?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Rhonda, did you get it?
I only have 3.
Okay. All right. Toya, would you make sure that she has that? Okay. While they're sending that, where did you learn how to deal with money? Who taught you? Who taught you about savings? Who taught you about spending? How did you learn the value of money? Here's one. When did you learn the value of money? What age? Anthony, start with you.
I learned from my grandma.
From your grandmother.
Yeah.
What was the lesson? Give me the condensed version. What did you learn?
It was pretty much like I asked for something and I was like, what I wanted, it required money. So it was like, okay, you have to earn this money. So we had like a little chore list, and for each chore there was a certain amount of money you could get. Like
Okay.
$1, $2, $5.
Okay.
And I selected through it, and you know my grandma, like she don't make me earn it, so she even took out that. So I learned it that way.
So what did you learn from her? Because that meant that now she did help you to understand she had accessibility to it. And you could get it, but you had to do something in order to earn it. So what did you learn?
At the end of that situation, it was pretty much money management.
Money management.
So
Okay.
it was like what I wanted by the time I earned the money to where I didn't really want it anymore. Everything I want, I don't have to have. But the things that I need, I have to have them.
Okay. Okay. So you could learn how to wait for something.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Like,
Very good.
Clothes, I want new clothes, but I have clothes already, so there's nothing wrong with my clothes right now. So it's like I can't wait to get new clothes. I have other things that need to be paid first.
Are those skills that you still have?
Yeah, I still go by those.
Okay. All right. All right. Nicole, what about you? Who taught you about money?
I think friends.
Who?
Friends.
Friends. So you didn't learn that in your household.
No.
What did you learn about money in your household?
Well, my grandparents always heard them say, save your money.
Okay.
But like in my mom's house, I didn't learn.
Okay. So from your grandparents, you understood that there was a need to save. But in your mom's house, that's not what you saw. So you heard one message, but you saw something else somewhere else. Toya, what about you? From your grandparents, what was the lesson?
It was always important to pay your bills, like pay them in full before you do anything else. And
Pay your bills first.
And they were tithers too, so that was important.
So you learned tithing from your grandparents.
Tithing and paying bills.
Okay, all right. Derek, what about you?
My granddad.
Okay, what was the lesson?
It wasn't necessarily a lesson, it was just learning by watching.
Okay, what did you learn? Give me one. Just one thing that you learned.
I learned that everything requires money for the most part.
Okay.
If I want something, it's going to take money.
How early did you learn that?
I learned that maybe 3, 4.
You understood at 3 or 4, everything costs something. And in order for me to have it, I must have something in order to get it. Okay. Sister Rhonda, what about you?
What I did learn about money came from my parents.
Okay.
That,
How early?
as long as I can remember real early, my father had a tire shop, and he had like a 24-hour service.
Okay.
He used to always say time is money. My mother was a housewife, so whatever he brought home, he had to shift, and whatever she wanted extra, she had to shift to make things happen.
Okay.
Whatever to put on the table.
So you lived in a household where your father was an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Did you, growing up, did you have a greater value for entrepreneurship versus working a regular job? Or did you think, when I get older, I'm going to give you a regular job?
Oh, no.
Entrepreneurship, early on.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Landeris, what about you?
My grandma taught me about money.
Lesson. What was the lesson?
Basically, that they didn't have to do free. That's learn how to save and manage your money very well. Because you want to get nice things, you want to get the live well, the guys, and that thing.
So she taught you the value of money and the importance of saving. Alana, what about you? Who did you learn money from?
My mom.
Okay, what she teach you?
My mom didn't have good management skills.
Okay.
She taught me that if when I was in the first grade, we used to get along. If I turn one down, I'm going to get nothing.
Okay. So even though mom had bad money skills, at what point did you recognize that your mom had bad money skills?
I was like in 3rd grade.
What happened to let you know that?
We were always moving, and I've always been good with numbers. So if you give me a number and tell me how much you make by this time, I can calculate in my mind.
Okay.
Just about what you made. So it wasn't adding up.
Okay. And so by 3rd grade, you recognize that money management must be bad. That's why we keep moving.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. See, now, and the reason why I'm asking this, and I'm going to get to a couple of the others, because one of the things when we talk about roots, when we talk about how we handle money, our lessons or lack thereof, we're going to see as we go through this, it affects so many other things. Some people, if they're broke, they're non-functional. Other people, if they're broke, they're like, well, hands just a little short now, that will be okay. All of that plays a role in what lessons you learn. Some people just freak out. You can't talk to them, you can't communicate with them. I mean, they're in another world, just time zone. Deacon Sean, what about you? Where did you learn money from?
Both my parents.
Okay. Give me one of the lessons.
My mom was a saver.
Okay.
My dad was a spender.
Wow.
But since my dad died, my mom has become a spender. And, like we talked yesterday, she was just telling me how she took to refinance the house and all this other stuff. And she's like, I'm not leaving dad when I leave here. I'm just letting you I mean, she would be honest with me. She's like, I'm not leaving y'all nothing. She said, I'm spending every dollar I had before I leave here. And see, she wasn't like that. Because when we grew up, I mean, we'd go to the store. I knew what Oreos was, but the cookies that she got
were not Oreos.
No.
They were just,
They was the yellow in the middle, and she chopped it on the side.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
She gave you the killer sandwich.
And so, you know, like, I was Keyshawn's age when I learned about money.
Okay.
They made me sit down and count my money and all that stuff, and she tried to cheat me to make sure that I knew how much money was.
Oh, wow. And
my father, though, was the one, like I said, when I turned 18, 19, I had a brand new car. So that's why getting a new car, that's nothing to me, because I'm like, I've already had one before, you know. And, you know, I mean, my mom gave me a hoopty, but my dad gave me a brand new car.
Brand new car.
That's how I learned the difference between those two.
Okay. Jerry, when did you learn about money? And from whom?
I didn't learn from anybody. I'm still learning.
Okay. In your household growing up, what was the money language? What was it like? We have enough, we don't have enough, what do we do? What was the money language?
My mother was a real secretive about money, so I don't know nothing.
Okay. So you just knew things happened, but not how.
Right.
That's very common in our culture. And if you all notice, I'm hearing a lot of my grandparents. The way your grandparents dealt with money probably was different than how your parents dealt with money.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes, of course, there are exceptions. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. All right, Kelly, what about you?
I learned about money from my mom.
Okay.
What I basically learned was, okay, make sure you pay all your bills.
Okay. Pay your bills first.
Right.
Like what? Towards it, pay your bills first.
Right.
Okay.
Pay all your bills. If you don't have like extra money, then I don't have extra money to do anything else. Then
Okay.
you just don't have it. You gotta make sure everything gets paid.
Pay your bills. Okay. Carlton, what about you? Who did you learn money from?
My grandfather and my dad.
Give me a lesson.
Grandfather lesson, take ownership.
Okay. Of whatever you
He
have.
said, to
Okay.
be your owner. He said, be
Okay.
the owner of everything. Land, the house, just be
Okay.
an owner. He said, moved from Arkansas to Detroit. The first thing he wanted was a house. And he made sure that happened. And make sure his name was on it.
See, that right there, that was a major part of African American culture. When they migrated from the South, one of the things they were big on, I gotta have something. I gotta have something that belongs to me. I gotta take care of it. Very, very cultural. All right, at this table, let me grab a few. Giselle, who did you learn money from?
I didn't learn money from anyone. I'm
Okay.
still learning about it. My granddaddy spoiled me and my mom.
Okay.
My mom was terrible with money.
Okay.
So I didn't learn.
So you didn't learn anything other than I want, just spend.
I mean, whatever I asked for, he would give to me. So I didn't learn about money until after he died, and I had to get my own job.
How old were you?
When my granddaddy died,
Yes.
it was right before my 21st birthday.
Okay. All right. What was the most frightening experience when you recognized you didn't have it? How did you deal with that? Because up until that point,
Right.
it was always provided. Right.
Having my car repossessed because I thought that it was paid off, but it wasn't.
Okay.
And then having certain bills, things shut off and everything, because I never really experienced that until like the later years of his life.
Okay.
But before then, I never experienced like things being shut off.
And nobody talked about the bills.
Right.
How many of you lived in households where bills weren't even talked about? You just knew. I go in the refrigerator, there's food. I mean, I turn on the light, it's on. I mean, yeah, they tell me that it ain't free, but I ain't seen no bills. I don't know nothing about no bills.
You have to sneak and look and see what the bills were for you.
Why did you sneak to see what the bills were?
Because I was being curious as a kid. I definitely wanted to see. I'm like, first of all, how this lifestyle has this, and sometimes I hear my mom crying, so I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I would see, you know, and she
never talked about it.
Even to this day, she don't even know. I looked at her checks to see. I just looked because I was very curious to see what was going on.
Okay, Angel, where'd you learn money?
I'm just now beginning to learn.
Okay, so nobody taught you. Okay.
I have to teach myself.
Remember, what you were not taught, you cannot pass down. Remember that. What you were not taught, you cannot pass down. Bear, who taught you about money? Okay. What lesson did they teach you?
You can, like, have friends, what they call themselves friends. Every time you go to where they want you to spend, they don't. So, see, like, you go to the movies, and then the movies them like 50 cents or something like that. See,
Wow, how wonderful would that be?
Yeah, 50 cents.
50 cents for the movies. Don't let Bear fool y'all. She up there. Don't let her fool you. But you know black don't crack. So, but anyway, go ahead.
so I knew that if I was going to place, I didn't have to have my own money.
You had to have your own. And how old were you? Now, that's with money. Where did you learn some of the behaviors you have now? Now, let's see how gutsy some of y'all are.
I'm gutsy.
A bad behavior. Yes, Sister Ron.
My parents, I come from a domestic violence family. And
Wow.
That was considered normal.
It was considered normal. Was it violence from your dad to your mom or your mom to your dad? Were they at each other?
First it started with him, and after she took a couple of trips to the, back then it was the crazy house, the psych wards, and then it became her to him.
Okay.
Her to him, then he had to get used to that ideal, so he had to go a couple of rounds, and then it became,
Okay.
So, see, first he had, before she would never fight back, it was
Okay.
just, whatever.
Right. Okay.
And then after she had a couple of nervous breakdowns, she started fighting back.
Okay.
Well, by him thinking he paid the cost to be the boss, they had to get a couple of rounds to realize, okay, I'm just going to leave you alone. And by that time, it was her. She had become him.
Okay. Fighting back.
Fighting back, and then when he stopped fighting, she continued. She became the aggressor.
Okay.
The major abuser.
Okay. Now, and that became normal in the household.
Yeah.
Because, and you all can make a note of this, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Dysfunction becomes function after you've done it so long.
Yeah.
If when you have an argument with your spouse and you just shut down and stop talking, after a while, that nonverbal communication now becomes verbal. And the other person that is talking now has to decide how he or she is going to deal with your nonverbal communication. Nonverbal can be shutting down. Nonverbal can be walking away. Nonverbal can be slamming the door. Nonverbal can be not answering your phone. Am I registering on the Richter scale with anybody? You learned how to do that. And many times your relationship does not start out like that. Somewhere along the line, you make a conscious decision. I'm going to tune you out, and this is how I'm going to do it. You learn that. Who did you see that dealt with people that way? Okay, you know what? I'm not dealing with you anymore. So when I walk past you, I won't even speak. I was having this conversation the other day, and I said, You know, I try to be as contemporary as possible, but I do recognize that some areas I really struggle, and this is one of them. I struggle when people walk in a room and don't speak. I struggle. Or walk past people and don't even speak. I struggle. And I recognize, because I had to go ask myself, why does that bother you? To me, it is insulting for one human being to look at another human being or walk in a room and don't speak. And I ask myself why. This is what I came up with. I was raised, when you walk in a room, you speak. As a child, if an adult said, hey baby, how you doing? And my mother heard me not respond, I didn't have the option of, oh, she's not feeling it today. What? Because it was viewed that the child was being disrespectful to the adult. Now I understand that children have the option. Well, if they don't want to speak, they don't have to. So I'm struggling. But I understand why I'm struggling. And I also understand that in our culture now, because we're so social savvy, we don't talk to each other. As human beings, we were made to need verbal communication. Let me tell you how I know that's true. When someone sends you a text, especially if you're having a text argument. Anybody ever had a text argument? Okay. You hear the argument in your voice.
Yes.
You don't hear it in theirs. See, now, watch this. When they send all capital letters, you say, in fighting words, you're yelling. Kelly, what did you say? Why you yelling? Now watch this. For me, and I'm just talking about how we proceed and why it is important that we communicate and where roots of things come. I come from an era before texting. Before. So we verbally spoke to each other, be it over the phone or be it face to face. So all caps for me could be, I'm trying to get your attention. Not that I'm going off. That's not even what it is. What I am saying to you is, however your root comes up, that's how you make the evaluation, what is what, and that is then how you respond. Does that make sense? So when somebody bumps into that space, you're like, no, not now. No. Come over here and say that. I'll meet you. Just pull up.
Okay. Pull up. On site.
Through a text message. Now get this. All of the subliminal messages on Facebook, I have no understanding. That's too much work for me. I'm either going to keep it to myself or I'm just going to say to you what I got to say. I ain't throwing no hints. That's too much work. Now, let me explain to you why. Because we're talking about roots of things. Now, the subliminal message, here is the 1970s version of a subliminal message. You ready? That's a 1970s subliminal message. Everybody in the hood understand the stick on the shoulder. Knock it off. And if you knock it off, you better be swinging with the other hand. Not hit. We ain't gonna knock off, stick fall to the floor, and we keep talking. All of the talking that we're going to do, we've done before the stick is knocked off. Nobody hear me. All of the yo mama hits, you've done that before the stick. Once the stick, if you miss the stick, you might as well have hit the stick. Because you about to get hit with the stick. Because my roots are, that's fighting time. Now, let's go back to this because I want to go to page number 1. All right? Let's go here. Let's see, page number 1. Toy, you ain't read nothing tonight. Come on, you read page number 1. Okay, go back and find it. Everybody sign the list while she's getting ready to read. Everybody sign. Derek, did you sign? Huh? Okay. Would somebody send Giselle the questions? Because I'm going to read a little bit, and then I'm going to come back to the questions. Yeah. Sign it. Thank you, sir. Landeris, would you send it to Giselle? Thank you. Okay. Toy, you ready? All right, come on.
We are facing problems daily.
Uh-huh.
That's where we're starting?
Yes, ma'am.
The symptoms are always much easier to deal with after you find and address the cause of the problem. It's important that you get to the source of the problem. The ability to get to the root of the problem is always easier said than done.
Thank you, sir.
Generally speaking, African Americans don't address root problems at all.
Pause right there. Is that true?
Yes.
Anybody want to name a problem in your family that we don't talk about? Anybody? Incest. Incest is one of the biggest ones in the African American community. We do not discuss it. If you have a pedophile in your family, most people know who it is, but there is no conversation. This is what you say. Now, and I'm just going to use Alana for example because her babies are pretty young, all right? She would say, honey, we're not going to leave the kids at Uncle So-and-so's house. He's like, why? He cool people. Chauncey, right? Okay. And Chauncey says, but I don't understand because first of all, in most cases, Alana has not talked to Chauncey about what it is. Because Uncle is still allowed to come around because that's Mama's big brother. And when she was growing up, he was there for her. So we're not going to talk about it. Even if Alana's been touched, her sister could be touched, her cousin could have been touched, 3 or 4 of their friends could have been touched. Nobody's pressing charges and nobody's talking about it. We just gonna not let the baby stay. Why not? Well, you know, Uncle huh?
That's my line. We'll talk about it in the car.
We'll talk about it in the car. Okay. Now Chauncey's trying to figure out how did they let this man just walk around in the family like this, never be dealt with, and it's okay, but everybody nervous to leave their kids around with. She grown and he's still hitting on her. But you know, well, you know that's how Uncle Charlie is. Bam, you were getting ready to say something. Were you?
I was.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I would say things happening.
In the family, things that basically we don't talk about. Incest was one of them.
I would say as men, we push a lot of men feelings to the side. As young men, oh, men don't cry, young men don't cry, young boys don't cry. I have emotions too. I have to get these out. If something bothering me, oh, suck it up and move on. You a man, men don't cry, men don't do that.
Well, let's talk about that for a second.
It's all
Teaching men not to cry was a part of our culture. When you study it, it even goes back to slavery. And I think the other day we were having this conversation. The expression of crying for a man is the appearance that he is weak, lacking strength. Now, let me tell you what one of the problems is in our culture when black men or boys do not express. Okay, that's one. Depression, suicide, very, very common because the emotions are still there. Now, understand this. In my family, the women don't express either. Because that is perceived as being weak. What do you mean you can't handle what's happening? Why not? So, Anthony, it took me a long time to understand, wait a minute, everybody wasn't raised like me? Wow. Because whatever went wrong, you better pray, tell God, and you're going to work it out. Now, it was good and bad. Because the good was it made me strong. The bad is this, and likewise for men. Okay, so let's say we take Israel. He's a baby. You teach him very early on. You don't cry. You don't have any emotions. You have no expression. Israel becomes 25. He's madly in love with this young lady, and she says to him, I love everything about you, but you express nothing. He says, you know how I feel about you. She says, tell me in words. He says, I buy you stuff. See? Can't go no deeper than that. She says, but I need words. Okay? See? Because what he has learned, rooted from his father, the expression of love is that I do something for you.
The expression was, I provide, I take care of, you got shelter, you have nothing to complain about, no want, no need. That's my expression.
Now that's the expression.
I work 12, 20 hours.
Okay, but watch this. But Kelly says, I know you work 14 hours a day. And I appreciate luxuries that I have financially as a result of your work. But have you ever thought about that when you're gone, I miss your presence? Okay? You ain't thought about because in your mind, but I'm working. Yeah, I know you're working, but have you thought about I missed your presence? Have you thought about that when the boys had a baseball game? I'm not a single woman. I'm a wife. And when I look around at 3 rows back at Mr. Joe and Mrs. Joe, they sitting there together. I would have liked for you to have been present to see our son steal second base than the video recorded and send it to you. Now, here's the problem. In his mind, he can't even translate it because all of his life, roots, he's been taught, what are you crying for? What are you having those emotions for? And so we as women are expecting you as a man at 30 to express what you've been told for 30 years never to say. Now, I'm not saying that the provision is not an expression of. I'm not having that discussion. I'm not even arguing that. I'm saying when he is asked to communicate it, he can't. He can't communicate it because it wasn't taught. He can't communicate it because it wasn't seen. So he has no routine for it. His culture, his environment teaches him for a black man to do that, he's weak. But when you look at other cultures, it's very open, it's very common, it's very relaxing. A white man in his culture is not under the same pressure that a black man is under. Maybe I shouldn't have recorded that because that might open up some other doors.
You got 720.
Okay.